Topic: a tour of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Okay, in the previous video, I said that I would take 2 hours to do the Dungeon Master's Guide. For this campaign, we're going to be using basically the core of things, all right? And, I mean, I could do 6 videos, but I'm going to try for 4. So this is me attempting to go through the whole entire Dungeons and Master's Guide in 1 hour, all right? Which is okay, you know. I think that I am. I don't know, guys. I'm just gonna do my best. All right. So here, front cover by DCS3, David C. Sutherland III, and that there is an Ifrit. Okay, Ifriti, and they're originally from Arabic folklore, and they're mentioned the Ifrit in Islamic texts. Okay, so that's where they're from. It's not a big demon. It's actually a fire genie in the game. But the creatures in the game, of course, they differ. They differ. This is fantasy from their original appearances in folklore and religion and world mythology. And here we have a unicorn by Darlene. Okay, what an amazing person and what an amazing artist. That's all I can say for now. And then the foreword by Mike Carr. Mike Carr was the head honcho editor of the core of first edition AD&D. All right. Table of contents. Okay. Same structure as that is in the player's handbook. And then the preface. If you are going to DM Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, please read page 7, the preface. And then also please read page 9, which is the introduction and the game. Okay. Now here we're going to skip back to page 8, and here you can see that I have a special copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide. It's actually signed by Igor Gygax. But this is not for sale because it's the annotated DMG. Actually, it isn't. That's on the shelf there. But I had to retire my annotated DMG simply because of overuse, basically. What can you do? It's still there. Credits and acknowledgements. This is very important to, thank all of the people who helped to make AD&D what it was, or what it is. Okay, so then next section, approaches to playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. This is very important to communicate to people that this is a game, and I think I don't need to say anything more, there. And then here we have a section on dice. We're going to be playing online. We're going to be using Skype. Discord is very popular too as well. However, Skype is how it started over the Weekend Advanced Dungeons and Dragons group. So real dice, real pencil, real paper, And if you don't have dice, then I guess you're stuck with a smartphone or something like that. But, well, that's okay. Just do the best that you can. All right, and it's trust. In the real world, I don't recommend going around trusting people that you don't know. But guys, it's just a fucking game, And please don't cheat, because you're cheating yourself out of the adrenaline aspect of things. And if you do a lot of cheating, then what it does, it really does wreck the fun for the other players in the campaign in the long run. Okay, so guys, I trust you. If you're making up a character and you roll 18, you don't need to take a snapshot with your smartphone and send it to me. I go on trust. Okay, if you say that you rolled an 18, you rolled an 18. Done. Done. Whew. Then all right, we go to. Sonaton 2 from Dragonsfoot, he was offended by this. No, not the one up top, but this here, the bell curve. He insulted his intelligence, and he is quite smart, So, wherever you are, Sonaton 2, I hope you're doing well, and I thank you for putting up with my madness. And also, I just want you to know that we're going to be using the requirement of 215s for this campaign. Never mind, guys. Yeah, we used to hang out a lot over at the Dragonsfoot Lounge. Yeah. And I hope everybody at Dragon's Foot is doing great. Um, I've got to reset my nickname back to Press Bus. Yeah, it's Orcus currently. Yeah, demonic possession. Man. Yeah. You wake up one morning and your Facebook name is Orcus. It's like, I can almost imagine like Jeff Hanneman be laughing about this. Yeah. Anyway, enough about that. Use of miniature figures with the game. The style that we will be using is Theater of the Mind, which is the style that Gary Gygax used in his latter years, at the very least. Okay, and that's how we used to play back in the day, man, when we were kids, because we didn't have the money to buy all the miniatures. I think miniatures gaming is awesome. The whole entire Dwarven Forge thing, you know, if you have the time, space, money, and energy to do that, and you go ahead with it, and you make an effort, it can be an awe-inspiring production. You know, so I think that's really awesome. I mean, so we're talking about online play. There are platforms like Roll20. I think Fantasy Grounds is another one that do really try to simulate the miniatures experience. And as time goes on, what will happen is that the technology will improve. And you know, for physical tabletops, we will see holographic battle mats. The technology is already here. It's just um, it's going to take a while before it becomes affordable. You know, for people. But anyway, yeah, we'll be using Theater of the Mind, although I am very influenced and inspired by the TSR SSI games. So when a combat happens, I will be thinking of things in terms of 5 foot squares. Okay, here it's talking about like 3 foot squares, approximately that kind of a thing. Never mind. Enough on that for now. I have to really move through things at a quicker pace because I'm limited to 1 hour. I've already gone through 6 minutes. Aids to playing advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, here, I'm gonna take a smoke break. So, oh man, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do something based on the 1E era of Dragon Magazine, and you guys have probably heard me say this 1,000 times before, but I mean, there's what I want to do as a game master, dungeon master, but my job, I guess you could say, it's not a job, it's duty or I don't know what the best word for it is. Basically, you want to create a fun experience for the players. So I thought, well, the best thing to do, since it's like really popular, the most popular is a first edition, second edition hybrid. That's what I'll do, and that's to start. So once this campaign is like a stable campaign, then yeah, I'll try something that is a little bit more advanced. And if people don't like it, then I can say, well, if it's too advanced for you, if you don't like zero level characters, zero level player characters, dude, there's the other group. You can transfer to that other group. Yeah, that kind of a thing. So yeah, I admit I wanted to make something that would be very popular, and I do admit to dumbing down the system in certain areas for playability. Keep in mind that we are limited to 4 hours only on each weekend for each player group. So there is a certain amount of simplification, but that's done for playability. Okay, and what can I say, man? Dragon Magazine Archive, get it. Okay, yeah. Your life is not complete until you have this, or marry a beautiful woman by the name of Anne Archive. Okay, there. I should have said that, but uh, there's also mention of White Dwarf. Okay, and there's also mention of Judges Guild. We're supposed to cancel Judges Guild. Come on, guys. Okay, no, please don't do that. Go out there, buy every single fucking thing that Judges Guild ever published. Okay. Uh, they were extremely prolific. There you go. All right, and what did you expect, man? Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Um, other than that, oh, does it say here? I think we get a warning to only use the official first edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. But we're not using miniatures. But one thing that I love to do for the first edition AD&D group is I would love to make a list of every single miniature that was advertised or reviewed or painted in Dragon Magazine, and I think that would be a fun thing to do. Yeah, even though I don't play with miniatures, then it would be like, oh yeah, here's a new monster. Oh, that's a variation on an existing monster, that kind of a thing. So this is an example of the philosophy of disregard and distort. Okay, some people say, oh, it's all guidelines, and they're actually right. But I'm spending way too much time, man, on general game theory. I have to get moving. All right, so power fuel. I will pour myself a shot of brandy, and then hopefully lessening the chance of a heart attack, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, so hopefully that will help a little bit, keep me alive for 1 month here. Anyway, generation of ability scores. Okay, cool. So here, and I have to look at the time. Yikes. What I'm going to be doing for this campaign is telling you guys, all right, it starts off pretty simple, 3d6, straight down the line for 6 ability scores, and then you're going to need 2 15s. Sorry, Sana. Then if you don't have already 2 15s, you're going to bump up 1 or 2 random scores, okay? Roll a d6 to see which score, all right? Then after that, apply race modifiers, and then after that, apply class modifiers, and then after that, apply age modifiers, okay? And then there, you have your set of ability scores. And it's an alternate method, but it works out pretty well, okay? And don't worry too much about the details of character creation. I will be doing a whole bunch of character creation tutorials, okay? If I have my way, at least 100 for you guys, yeah. And then those characters that are done in the tutorials, I'll just say, yeah, they're pre-gens, okay? If you want, I can make a character for you, and it's probably best if you guys go with a pre-gen to start, all right? So you can get right into the game. And then after that, then your second character, maybe sit down with me for an hour over a beer, and then, we'll make a character. And then by then you should have it down pat, and then you can make up as many characters as you want, okay? Good. All right. So then we have non-player characters. They tend to have lower ability scores than player characters. The effect of wishes on character ability scores. Okay, 12 minutes out of 60. Yikes. We'll get to that when you guys find a wish spell, okay? Or a ring of wishes. And then characteristics for player characters. Here, I'm going to quote from the book. Use of the NPC personality traits and characteristics for player characters is not recommended. Okay, keeping that in mind, it's still by the book. I mean, you can roll on the tables on pages 100, 101, 102. However, Gary's wisdom, don't forget, he knew what he was talking about. So I said to myself, okay, how about instead of that, we'll do optional quirks. Okay, so you get your characters are going to start with 3 quirks, which is an optional thing, and it will really make for a very interesting and unique character. Okay, so instead of 5 pages of backstory quirks, okay, part of your backstory is going to be your secondary skill. Okay, second edition says you either use secondary skills or non-weapon proficiencies. We're going to be using both. All right. And then for demi-humans, or non-humans, should I say, roll twice and choose the result that you think would be the most appropriate, okay? Dwarven Forester, I mean, it's possible, but unlikely, Starting level of experience for player characters. Okay, there you go. Now, I want to embellish this with jokes and little, witticisms and stuff like that, but I have to keep on moving. Character age, aging, disease, and death. Okay. Yeah, this section is used as is. Okay. I mean, a slight modification. Instead of young adult, I would just say teenager because that's more understandable to people. All right. And it says here 14 to 20, so I could say instead of that 13 to 19, but this kind of detail, going into a table and adjusting things by 1% here, 1% of the time, it's excessive. 15 minutes have already gone by, and we're only at page 13. Disease at the end of every game month. you guys make a disease check. And one of the things that I would like to do is I would like to use real world disease names, something like, the Black Death or Ebola or something like that. It's a lot more scary than saying, oh, yes, you have an acute terminal disease of the blood and or blood forming organs, that kind of thing. No, just say, oh man, yeah, good morning, you've got Ebola. There you go. Death. Okay, your characters can die of old age, and you know that would be probably a pretty boring campaign. Yeah. Oh, we get experience points for role playing. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. You know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna sit at the end of the welcome lunch and level up over the course of the next, few decades. Yeah. Well, technically, the players could do that. Yeah. So, yeah. Enough about that. You know that Black Sabbath album, Never Say Die. Enough on that for now. And then character abilities, explanation of abilities. So here we have something that should have been in the player's handbook. I mean, for charisma, we have the examples of Julius Caesar, Napoleon, and Adolf Hitler. And so on the 1EO side, actually, in the charisma section, there's an image there of Adolf Hitler. So that's by no means, um, any kind of sympathy for the Nazi ideology, which would be the epitome of lawful evil. But the reason why is there currently is because um, of him being mentioned as an example of extraordinarily high charisma. Okay, and of course that's different from comeliness. Now, in a revision of the 1EO site, what I'll do is I will look for a very, very good image of Julius Caesar because that's closer to the time period in the era of the game. Okay, so but in the meantime, just so you know, player character racial tendencies. Okay, again, remember these are fantasy races. I almost prefer the word species. This these paragraphs they should have been included in the player's handbook. I think And enough on that for now. Character classes, followers for upper level player characters. Uh, this is not likely to come into play since the stated levels are 1 to 8. Although Frank Menser said maybe a little higher than that. So we'll just go with 1 to 8. So the chances of you having followers is pretty slim. You know basically what you have to do is you have to build a castle or establish a guild, and then after that point then you gain followers. Rangers are different however in that regard. Okay, enough on that for now. Next, spying. Okay, that is an ability of the assassin, and if you want to do some spying in the campaign, then that's an example of something that happens between sessions. It'll be a 1 hour one-on-one session between me and the assassin character. And what you might gain, if you're successful, you might gain some maps, maybe the names of important NPCs, that kind of a thing. Okay, so it'll be an abstract thing, maybe with a little bit of role playing. All right, so that's something that the assassins can do. Thief abilities. Again, this is stuff that I think should have been in the player's handbook. All right, and moving onwards, remember that thieves and assassins can set traps. Okay, and assassination experience points. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Assassins use some poison. What's interesting here is that there are some poison types that are listed. Okay, this is equipment. All right, it's hard to find in the city of Verbobon. Matter of fact, it might be even be illegal. But dude, if you're looking for poison, seek that filthy and disgusting and odious village known as Null, that wicked hive of scum and villainy. So yeah, you want to buy poison? Go to Null. Okay, the monster is a player character. Basically no, but any 1E race from Dragon Magazine is an option. Okay, and that generally doesn't include Oriental and Dragonlance races. Okay, so here we have an image by DCS3 of a green dragon. Okay, breathing down on some kobolds. Okay, they're having a bad day. All right. You guys want to play a dragon? Sorry, you guys want to play one of the undead? Sorry, guys. Um, However, if you get bitten by a werewolf, and there are werewolves in the T1 to 4 the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign, then there is a possibility that you might wake up one day naked in the middle of a forest, covered in blood and leaves, and really not remembering what happened the night before. Enough on that. Alignment, always remember free will. Okay? And some art here by Darlene. And here it says there is no honor among thieves. And that might be her, can I say cover of an image, maybe by Gustave Doré. I would have to ask her. Alignment language. Okay, a lot of people just, they don't use this. It's used in the campaign. It opens up role-playing opportunities. They're done, said. Changing alignment. Every time you do that, you lose a level. Okay? And to be merciful, I mean, if you're a first level character, you change your alignment, then guess what? Aha! There's a way that I can bring 0 level player characters now. Instead of keeling over and dying, then you are a 0 level player character. Okay? There. You probably don't want to change your alignment. And remember the character alignment graph on page 119 of the player's handbook. Alright, moving along. Money. Player characters starting money. Okay. This is an interesting thing, page 25, and my interpretation and implementation of this is I say 10% of all characters begin with a special item. Okay, it could be something like plate mail, a dagger +1, or a random potion. Okay, so that's where that comes from. Then we have player character expenses. Yes, the game is harsh. Okay, and what can I say about this? Yeah, man, it's the end of the game month, okay? The last day of each game month. Cough up the money, 100 gold pieces per level, all right? If you're multi-classed, I think the most fair thing to do is say your highest level is, highest level times 100, all right? And I think that covers that. Now we go on to the value and repeated properties of gems and jewelry, all right? So, here we have another image by Darlene. And there you go. So that's an NPC in the campaign. Who he is, I don't know. Maybe Malub. You could say that's what he looks like. Malub. He's a guy from Hamlet, and he's the money changer. Let me see. Reputed magical properties of gems. Well, and then we have this note regarding the magical properties of gems, gerbs, okay, gerbs, okay, at all. Well, I'll tell you this. These can be used as alternate material components. And the other day, I think I had a few, and I'm going to go get myself some coffee. And I was thinking, well, hold on a second. What about beer potions, man? Like, if you get a powdered gem, you get a beer, and you, sprinkle the powdered gem in the beer, and then you drink it, then you get magical powers. That's actually a very good question, okay? Beer potions. Do they exist? Does it work? Who knows, man? I'm not going to answer it because it's something magical. And I want to leave a little bit of an element of mystery here. I have to get moving, guys. Whole entire DMG. All right. In 1 hour, I mean, if I do this, it's going to be an epic feat of focus and concentration. Definitely. Let me see. Where are we at right now? 24 minutes. And what? We're only at page 26? Oh, man. This might actually require 2 videos to do. And then we have commodities, such as furs. Like, fur trade that happened in Canada with the Hudson Bay Company. Things like spices, That kind of thing is basically money, all right? So it's not a matter of selling something for half price. Furs, spices, and maybe gems, maybe, as well, and maybe even jewelry too. You know, you can just use that as a form of cash. I think that's the easiest way to do things. Okay. Um, Whereas if you go into a uh, store with some chainmail armor, then you're going to be selling it for half the book price. All right. Types of armor and encumbrance. Okay. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Helmets. There's the helmet rule. What I would say is that for a great helm, if you're attacked from above, like someone on horseback or a giant, then maybe that great helm will give you a -1 bonus to your AC, which is a logical thing and easier to do than what is listed here. All right. Um, and then dexterity armor class bonus. Uh, yeah, if you're attacked from the rear, then it doesn't apply. I mean, I've gone into detail about this before. Just remember that in a combat, this isn't, a situation where you attack and just sit there and wait to be attacked. Your character is taking 5-foot steps all the time, twirling around and things like that. However, if you have an opponent in front of you and then an opponent moves behind you, then they can do a rear attack at +2, and your dexterity armor class uh, modifier doesn't come into play. Weapon types, to hit adjustment note. We will be using the weapon type versus armor type, although that's only for humans and humanoids wearing armor, okay? And that actually makes monsters a little bit more tough, okay? I can't go into the details of things too much because of the limit of time. We have hirelings and henchmen. I'll just say now that they can be the difference between life and death. All right, here we have a sage. This guy is going to be one of the NPCs in the campaign. All right. Again, another image by Darlene. All right. And we are approaching the half-hour mark. So I got to get moving. Alchemists, they are also a character class option as well too. And wow, okay. My mom always, talks about Mickey Mouse. So yeah. Okay. Dude, cheese. The Temple of the Rat God. So when you guys are playing, if you want to infiltrate a religion, just always remember bring cheese, man. Yeah. And then we have here section on henchmen. Dave, get the barbarian in the corner. Another drink, quick. Yeah, I see why, man. Yeah. Okay. All right. So someone get a drink for the barbarian quickly. The last thing I need is a splitting headache. So hold on a second. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about old school AD&D is that people have a sense of humor about it. Although we've got a lot of grumpy old farts in the hobby, I think, yeah. Mm-hmm. Complaining about their aches and pains and things like that, yeah. and some very never mind. Okay, so, well, actually, you know what? Let's go back a page. All right, seriously. I think us people who are unphotogenic with gray and or white hair, that we have to maybe make more of an effort to keep advanced D&D alive, and we need to maybe reach out more and try to understand more the point of view of younger people. Because I think I think advanced Dungeons and Dragons is awesome, and I want to see it continue, literally for 100 years, and then for 1,000 years. And the way that we're doing things right now, guys, uh, we're digging our own graves, or digging a grave for the game. I think, yeah, the way that some of us carry on. Sometimes I'm not saying I'm perfect and better than everybody else, but I mean I do make an effort to reach out to younger people. Okay, so to the younger people, remember henchmen and hirelings. Okay, hirelings, that's a business situation. Okay, employer employee situation. And I'm just trying to get this image for you guys. Hold on a second. Yeah, see all those scary modifiers? Uh, they won't be applied exactly by the book. I'll use them as guidelines. So you see the continual light spell, and there we have an image, DCS3, okay? Being the artist. And henchmen are expensive, okay? Henchmen, they serve out of loyalty, so it's kind of like Batman and Robin, all right? Another example would be the Lone Ranger in Tonto, and now people have made the observation that that's a disrespectful portrayal of a Native American, and I'm like, yeah, and my answer to that would be, well, have that knowledge, and then still enjoy it for what it was, and just try to learn more about Native Americans or American Indians, and learn about the history of that era as it actually was, that kind of a thing. Anyway, I'm starting to get too preachy. I think I went off on a little bit of a tangent. And next time we have to be conscious of it. I'm supposed to get through this book in 1 hour. And I apologize, guys. I'm not doing it justice by going through it, in 1 hour. There is this thing about 1 day in the real world equals 1 day in the game world. I would say if a session ends in a civilized area, okay, then yeah, we'll advance time at that rate. But if it ends in a dungeon area or a wilderness area, then time pauses, okay? Time in the dungeon, we're going to use abstract timekeeping, okay? 1 room equals 1 term. Turn. And then character spells. And I wonder why my players are like, can you speak clearly, please? I make an effort, okay? But still, if I don't speak clearly, don't hesitate to call me out on it. Say, please speak into the microphone, please say that again, come again, that kind of thing. Anyway, character spells, day-to-day acquisition of cleric spells. The higher level spells are granted by servants of the deity. So that could be an angel or demon, etc., etc., etc. All right. Acquisition of magic user spells. Okay. Yeah, as is. What I say is that also detect magic as a bonus spell at first level, and then also cantrip as a bonus spell at first level. All right. Okay. And then keep in mind that we're not playing with Unearthed Arcana, but for the cantrip spell, I do that a little bit differently. Basically, you'll find out when you cast it. Good enough. Recovery of spells, okay? Remember I was saying that, clerics can heal an incredible amount of damage at first level over a course of 24 hours. That is true, and that's by the book, okay? And one of the things I liked about the TSR SSI games is that they made a really good effort to stick by the book with first edition AD&D. However, they had to simplify some things. But it was great game design. Here we have something. Whoever drew this, man, he's got to be really weird. Of course, Errol Otis, the weirdest fantasy artist that we know of so far, and we mean that as a compliment. He's absolutely and totally amazing. Thank you, Errol Otis. And this is my second copy of Tales of the Dying Earth by Jack Vance. Okay, and I don't want to show you guys the cover because I don't want to give stuff away. Definitely, someone did a tour of the player's handbook, and he's like, "Well, this was the reason I stopped playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, guys. Please, if you're going to play in this campaign, do yourself a favor and read Jack Vance, okay? Tales of the Dying Earth, okay? And that is inspirational, to say the very least, okay? Just absolutely amazing. I can't stand going over, visiting family sometimes because it's so boring, I'm sorry, but it is. So always remember in your backpack, always carry an appendix and book. There we go. Although, I love my mom. The rest of my family, never mind. I'm sorry, guys. The details of spellcasting. Okay, well, there are many different types of glyphs and warning. Oh shit! I gave something away. I shouldn't have said that, but I got to keep on moving because of time. And we see some glyphs here. All right, and you know, uh, then this really freaked out some, religious fundamentalists. Yeah, that's a pentagram. Okay. Um, if you draw a pentagram in chocolate, liquid chocolate, it's called a pantygram, and you can use that to summon a succubus. Never mind. Yeah. This whole thing about the game, uh, you know, getting people into the occult, I don't think it's true. World mythology, maybe, but what can you do, right? I mean, the magic of the game is fantasy magic, imaginary magic, the magic of Jack Vance, let's say. Now, this is a dick move, all right? Like, what kind of a person threatens a character's familiar, you know? Is that what's going on here? One false move, wizard, and your familiar gets it. That's just wrong, morally wrong. Okay, people are all up in arms about the pentagram on page. What's the pentagram page? Page. Let me see here now. Page 42. I mean, dude, page 44 is much worse than a pentagram. How can you? How can you hold a cat hostage? The next thing that I'm gonna see, after this gets published, is some guy, doing a video on YouTube, holding someone's cat hostage. Yeah. Maybe the game is a bad thing and influences people to do bad things. Yeah. So there, that's done, and then here, the use of hexes. We're gonna do abstract wilderness movement. Okay. So basically, one hex, 1 day. All right. And each hex is 30 miles across. Darlene was told that women can't draw fantasy, really. Women can't do fantasy art, really. Okay. I don't think Darlene will ever hear this, but I have to say that, Darlene, if you ever do, you're so awesome that Led Zeppelin wrote a song about you, and also, I'm enchanted, at a loss for words, So, the women of fantasy, without women, I think fantasy would be boring, There you go. And then we have their getting lost, okay? We'll use something simplified. And if you have the direction sense, no roll needed. The party never gets lost, okay? All right. And if you stick on, if you stay on a road or follow a river, of course you're never going to get lost. A section on aerial travel, or aerial adventures in the air, all right? And then we have more hexes, okay? Hexes were used because they basically give greater accuracy with regards to movement, okay? So it's a holdover from wargaming, like the use of inches, all right? Time check. 7. I mean, I'm at page 52, guys. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do justice to the DMG in 1 hour. I could just flip through the pages, but no, that would be bullshit. So I think what I'll do is, instead of breaking it down into, 2 parts, I'll just go through it and see how close to 1 hour I can get. Or maybe just, maybe go for 2 hours, a 2 hour video, and just take my fucking time. Literally, sometimes, good things, they take time to do. And I want to give you guys a good tour of the DMG. So, between 1 and 2 hours for this, all right? So there we go. Now I'm happy, and now I can give you guys a better quality video. Okay, so there we can see another diagram of aerial movement. Okay. If it ever comes into play, I will be thinking in terms of cubes. Okay, how do you get a cubic hexagon? I don't know. But the next one, waterborne adventures. In this campaign, remember that the equipment lists are expanded by Dragon Magazine. So we have 19th century sailing ships available, okay? That's not a common thing. In the context of the world of Greyhawk, or specifically the Flying AS, um, I would say, I'm guessing, like that kind of technology, that kind of naval technology, you'd only find in, say, the Hold of the Sea Princes. Okay, and the campaign is based in the Western Flying AS. Okay, possibly they might have, like 17th or 18th century sailing ships over the far end of things, the Sea Barons. Okay, enough on that for now. And the campaign that I'm doing this for is for T1 to 4, the Temple of Elemental Evil, so you guys don't have to worry about ships too much, okay? Uh, Underwater adventures? Combat is in 3 dimensions, okay? You don't want to get surrounded in 3 dimensions, I'll tell you that, yeah. What else can I say? It is possible that you guys will be going underwater. Last I checked, water is one of the elements, one of the 4 basic elements. Either that or beer or coffee. I mean, if I was God, I'd say water. Water's for wimps, man. Yeah, make it beer or coffee. Yeah, so. But then it would be the temple. It wouldn't be the temple of elemental evil anymore. Water. I'll tell you guys right now. I'm going on a rant about water. It's a public health hazard, I mean, they put all these chemicals in the water these days, man. And it's like, man, you know what? Don't drink water, drink beer. Or coffee. Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah. Okay. How we have grievously polluted this beautiful biosphere. Anyway, enough about that for me. Uh, Travel in the known planes of existence. Here it's interesting. It mentions Tractix, which is a World War II tank game, and it also mentions Metamorphosis Alpha, which is the first science fiction or science fantasy role playing game. I don't have either one. I would love to get them, but enough on that for now. We will revisit different genres in the later section. Okay, around page 112. We're at page 58 right now. Outdoor movement, like I said, we're going to use abstract movement. Okay. Oh, actually, wait. The abstract movement thing, I have to recant that a little bit because I said before we're going to be using the player's handbook by the book. Oh man, what that means is that the whole abstract movement thing. I don't know if that's going to work out. Okay, so yeah, for better for worse, we'll be using the player's handbook by the book. Although when it comes to the Dungeon Master's Guide, I'm doing this more along the lines of guidelines. Okay, well, the Dungeon Master's Guidelines. I'm gonna get a yellow pencil, write in the word lines, dude. Lines, yeah, man. Okay, sorry. I'm having fun doing this. Sorry. Okay, so then now we have. Okay, we're just gonna forget what I just said, and we're gonna use our powers of ultravision to see that there's this shadowy figure. Screw that, man. Bring in a continual light. No, not right in my eyes. Yeah. So here we have something again by Darlene, and if I can get the angle for you, ultravision is only usable on the surface. All right, and man, that guy looks scary. And that I see there, that's a longship too. So who knows? Maybe some of the frost, ice, or snow barbarians somehow made their way to the wild coast or something like that. Yeah, and waiting for them. Man, I hope that isn't who I think it is. Yeah. Okay, infravision. We already covered that in the player's handbook. Not black and white. Red, hot, blue, cold. Okay? Invisibility. All right. I will just keep on going. As it deals with the spell, I don't want to get into the details of spells and magic too much. I want to keep that as a mystery for you guys to discover. Okay? All right. So then mirrors, detection of evil and or good. Disregard this, okay, and use what is written previously in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So one interpretation of it, one understanding of it is that the Dungeon Master's Guide here contradicts itself. Okay. Uh, Take it easy on them. You know, it was the late 1970s. They didn't have the same um, technology that we have today. And even then, I mean, to this day, this is one of the most awesome books of the 20th century. And I'm not just saying that; like literally, it is. Um, Ernie the Barbarian, Ernest Gary Gygax describes it as an encyclopedia of fantasy. You know, it is truly an awe-inspiring work. Listening at doors. Okay, listening at doors. Um, Here's the mention of keen-eared, and oh, I did a character creation tutorial for an elf. I forgot to do this. Okay, so is this character keen-eared? No. All right, done. It's best to do that during character creation because, man, I'll tell you from experience, if you know, by the book it says, yeah, check when they first listen at a door. Okay, um, well, we always forget, so might as well do that during character creation. Okay, this is a perfect example of distort and disregard. Okay, well, you know guidelines, that kind of thing. All right. Then we get to combat. Okay, encounters, chapter 12 of the second edition Player's Handbook. Combat and initiative. Okay, initiative is described in the Player's Handbook. It's actually pretty simple. Okay, it's what's in the Dungeon Master's Guide that gets confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to disregard most of it. All right, and just say, okay, we're going to do this using the 10-year-old method. All right, which is what we did when we were 10 or 11. And it's basically, okay, each side roll a d6. Okay, I got a 2 for the player characters. And then for the monsters, okay. Oh, I got a 4. 4 beats a 2. Monsters go first. There you go. Then, moving onwards, encounter reactions. I went into detail about this in the Player's Handbook video. And the thing is that it doesn't negate role playing. It's just a starting point for role playing. Okay, and some people don't like role playing. You don't. It's not a requirement that you have to speak in character. You can say, "Oh yeah, my character says this," or "My character says that," or you can use your oratory abilities and be full on Shakespearean and speak in Old English and say thee and thy and thy and thine and uh, you know. Uh, whatever makes you happy, guys. Role playing is definitely an integral aspect of the game, if you ask me. But you know, uh, I want to refer back to an article by Gary Gygax in Dragon 102, Realms of Role Playing. That's worth a read. Okay. And I said that I wouldn't be bringing Dragon Magazine articles into this, but there you go. Read from the Sorcerer's Scroll, okay? Mm-hmm. All of it. And then after you're done, then go read everything that Gary posted over at Dragon's Foot and Ian World. All right. And keep on role playing. All right. Good, good, good. Missile discharge. All right. Well, by the book, I mean, it's tripled in surprise situations, okay? The rate of fire, that is. I'm like, wow. Gary wasn't on board with that idea, and here, even though we're doing the Player's Handbook by the book, we're going to use Gygaxian Override here for the Dungeon Master's Guide. What I'll say is that you guys can basically change that, all right? Outside of a combat situation, if you guys want to go with double missile fire or standard missile fire, let me know, okay? The thing is that triple missile fire will be a definite advantage to you guys, all right? Problem is that it can result in a TPK, all right? Just so you know, all right? So it's up to you guys. And if you guys say, "Oh yeah, man, triple missile fire surprise situations," then I'll be like, "Okay." And then if it's a TPK, don't come crying to me about it, man. You guys, you chose that danger. All right? Okay. So I think that is covered. Grenade light missiles is covered on the DM screen. So yeah, we're going to just do that by the book as is. Spellcasting during melee. Spellcasting in a melee situation, okay? It's a bad idea, right? It's interesting. This is another instance where the DMG contradicts itself. And what I would say that the simplest way to do it, again, what we're going to do is here is we're going to uh, disregard. Cast a spell, you're in melee, every adjacent opponent gets an immediate free attack against you. Okay. And then turning undead, okay, the what is written there, yeah, we'll just use that as is. And then further actions, let me see here now. You can move and attack, all right? Move half your movement rate and attack. If you charge at the end of the charge, then what it is going to be um, is that basically the longer weapon is the one that is going to attack first, right? So if you're charging in there with a dagger going, then the guy with the spear is going to maybe even set that spear and probably impale you, okay? So just so you know, and then we have here speed factors. I think, my understanding of one of Gary's posts was he was just like, oh, what was I thinking that day, when I did the speed factors thing. Speed factors, we might use those to break ties. And what I'll do is I will leave this as a kind of optional thing, all right? If you guys want to use speed factors, then I'll say that the lowest speed factor gets an extra attack, all right? So yeah, you have the situation where you have a tied initiative, people in melee. There's the guy with the spear, and then there's the guy stab, stab, stab with the dagger. In that situation, when you're in close quarters, the guy with the dagger, Mr. Stabber with the dagger, is going to have a definite advantage. He's going to get within, he's going to get under that spear and like maybe, right in the armpit, that kind of a thing. Okay. I hope I'm not inciting violence on Facebook on that. I got in trouble for that. It was The Simpsons, man. Never mind. Ask me about it later. I gotta keep this on track and on topic. Yeah. More ale. Okay. More ale is a rule in the DMG that it gives experience points. The more ale you drink, the more experience points you get. Okay, so, but you have to give proof of that. And no morale, of course. The modifiers I'll use as a guideline. All right, and I might even use the second edition system here with regards to modifiers. I mean, instead of going back to the modifiers on pages 36 and 37, what is here, no, but I do make a check for morale for most monsters when they're down to half their number, or when that monster is at 50% or less of their hit points. If it's a single monster. Okay, all right. Whew. All right, pursuit and evasion of pursuit. Okay, pursuit and evasion of pursuit. We have here a guy up shit creek without a battle. Literally. Okay. And I'm like, dude, it's just a skeleton. Yeah. Oh, that just stinks like shit. That's disgusting. Yeah. That's one of the things about old school AD&D. It's dirty. It's got germs in it. It's medieval almost. That's just disgusting. But basically, people think that plate mail is such a great thing, but it reduces your movement rate down to 6. Okay, so movement rate comes into play, and enough on that. In the dungeon, just remember that the movement rate it will come into play. Now, out in the wilderness, that's a little bit different, all right? If you meet 100 orcs, okay, and that's possible, um, this is first edition AD&D, you're going to have a better chance to get away from those orcs, all right? You can hide and many other things too as well, all right? So pursuit in the wilderness is not simply just something that is based on the movement rate. That comes in, it's a factor, but it's not the only factor there, all right? Okay. And you know, common sense has to apply. I mean, if you are going to encounter 100 orcs out there in the wilderness, um, eh, chances are you're probably going to see them coming. Okay, and then at that point, then what the party can do is that they can attempt to evade. All right, if you have surprised 100 orcs, then they're not aware of you, and we can just simply say that yeah, you have managed to successfully evade the orcs. Okay, they didn't see you. You quietly moved away. All right, there you go. Are we allowed to say orcs anymore? I don't know. So then, here we go. This is some diagrams that are representative of melee. Okay, and so you can just imagine the active character or monster there in the center. So let's disregard the hexes. Okay, we're going to be using squares. Even though this is theater of the mind, what happens is that I visualize things in terms of squares. So instead of 3 foot squares, I go with 5 foot squares. Okay, when I'm visualizing things, you don't need to know this or worry about it, but that's just the thought process that is taking place. So say your character is under attack, you would be in the center square. Theoretically, you can be attacked by 8 medium-sized opponents. Now, if you're up against something like giant rats or something, like all of that just goes out the window. The giant rats, they move into everybody's squares and they're all over the place, climbing up your shins, wanting to bite at your kneecaps, that kind of a thing. Okay. So attacks with 2 weapons. We'll use the second edition for that. Okay. And remember, I did say that this would be a 1E2E hybrid. All right. An example of melee, I would actually highly recommend the TSR SSI games. Play Pool of Radiance. And that will give you an idea of how combat kind of works. But it's very important to remember that this is not a computer game. Okay, in the TSR SSI games, it's one move at a time. It's brilliant game design, what TSR SSI did, but it's almost sort of like chess. You take your move, and then you wait, and then you take your move, etc. Like that. It's not like that. You can do anything that you can imagine. You can attempt to do anything that you can imagine. So you're not limited to a limited set of options in combat. All right. Jump up on the table, jump across the room, grab the chandelier, kick the big bad evil guy right in the face, and either that or miss the chandelier, fall on your face, and get stepped on by one of the enemy hirelings. Yeah. Now for unarmed combat, all right. There's 2 ways that we can do this. We can do just 1 to 2 points of damage, all right. And that when your opponent reaches 0 or less, instead of being dead, then they are unconscious, and that's it, man. And then you declare, okay, yeah, what I'm doing is I'm attacking to subdue, or I am using unarmed combat upon my opponent, and then that damage we can say, yeah, it kills maybe 1 hit point per turn. All right. There is also a fairly workable system in the second edition Player's Handbook. We could use that too as well, but why complicate things? So we won't be using the unarmed combat system as was presented here. And Gary recognized that this was a bit of a game design mistake, so he revised this in Unearthed Arcana. Okay, and was Gary Gygax one of the best game designers of the 20th century? Absolutely, yes. But even he made mistakes. And one of the cool things about him was that he was very open about the mistakes that he made in game design. Okay? And anyway, enough about that for now. Combat tables. All right, here we have some kind of a weapon. Now, is this a scimitar? Or is it, is something else? But there you go. And we'll say that that's a weapon that can be found somewhere in the campaign. All right, and we will be using these just exactly like I said before. We're going to be using this, just the numbers here as is. Okay. Uh, Dungeon Master's screen. Thank you, Errol, for the weird art. I think that's a Minotaur lizard on the cover. Anyway, one moment as I just check the time. We are at the 1 hour mark. 74 pages. Yeah, man, 2 hours, I'm fine with it. This, Tim Cask, when we were hanging out at the Dragon's Foot Lounge, like, I don't think Tim remembers it, but I was like, oh yeah, Tim, I did a 2 hour tour of the Dungeon Master's Guide, something I've done, probably about 101 times. And what he said, that sounds rather tedious. I don't think he used the word rather, though, because that's a rather English thing to say. So that sounds tedious, yeah. The James M. Ward, if he was there, which I don't think he was at the time, you might have said something like, well, try not to use the word that, wherever James M. Ward and Tim Kask are, I just wish them the best. And someone was extremely rude to Tim Kask recently, and I don't want to get into the drama of it, but he happens to be like one of my role models, almost role models. I mean, my role model is, I would say, Jim Page. He was a visionary like your guys. But yeah, runners up, anyone who edited, for Dragon Magazine. Gary would be like, "What about me?" Well, if I was in the same room as Gary, I would say, "No, you're not as cool as Tim Kask." There, I said, "Okay, done." Um, well, Gary wasn't the editor for Dragon Magazine. How could he be cool, eh? So then we have here the Silent Combat tables. Unfortunately, they are on the DM screens, and I did say that we would be using the DM screens. Yeah, I can imagine someone just going like this. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Don't worry, I've stocked up on Advil. Yeah. Silent Combat tables done. Saving throw matrices used as is. Okay. And let me see. Monsters, they do have wisdom scores. I mean, that can be derived from page 79 of the DMG. Why that would matter, I don't know right now. And I just wanted to just go back and make sure that I haven't missed anything. Oh yeah, fighters will advance in 5% increments, okay? So that's an optional thing, and I will be using that option in this campaign. So fighter, you're going to start out with THAC0 of 20, base THAC0 20, and then after that, it's second level THAC0 19, third level THAC0 18. Okay, good. Whew. And yeah, this is my house rules document, which is going to end up being, I think, about 6 hours long. But that's okay, This is part of the preparation for the campaign. Yeah. Saving throw matrix for magical and non-magical items. If you make a saving throw, your items make the saving throw as well. Okay, good. And let me see more about saving throws. This is something to keep in mind. There will be situational modifiers. So if you're playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, remember, you might want to give a character a +2 in a certain situation, or a -2. Okay, you'll figure it out. Just use your common sense. Mm-hmm. Now, magical armor and saving throws. It says here that there's a saving throw versus falling damage. Well, okay, it says so. It's just like, we've got to try and remember this, guys, that magic armor also grants you saving throw bonus. Here we have the protective first level magic user and the 10th level fighter. And why is the fighter so scared? Let me see. Uh-oh. Dude, it's Mr. Rust Monster. Okay. Yeah. A conversation with a Rust Monster. Hey, dude, how's it going, man? What did you think of that Neil Young album? Yeah, like Rust Never Sleeps? Yeah. So, I mean, we're not going to get into the detail of the ecology articles, but if it's not already detailed, I would say that rust monsters never sleep. Mm-hmm. I want to go get some more coffee, yeah, man. So I'm having fun doing this, and I've got a 2 hour limit, and I think I'm going to be able to do it, guys, to get it done in 2 hours, yeah. And, I just thought of this right now. I mean, the core of first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and the core of second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, it's kind of like the best of the best. It was uh, the best of the best. Now you guys might be like, well, what about the five best of dragon compilations? Guys, please don't mention that around me, because then I'll be tempted to make the same mistakes that I did in the previous campaign. Okay, we're gonna keep it relatively simple. Okay, using a 4-book structure. Okay, so this is video number 2, and we are at now progression on the combat tables. Here, okay, now by the book, the 20s they repeat 6 times. Okay, we will be using the table as is, the numbers as is. However, the text, the explanation for it says that after the first 20, okay, it's got to be a natural 20, all right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to disregard that, okay? And the reason for that, again, it comes back to page 9 of the DMG, distort and disregard, is that I think it's going to make things easier for everybody at the table, okay? And a natural 20 will be a critical hit. Okay, but that's something we're going to get to in the second edition portion. And instead of, like, my players, they didn't like using the tables in the Best of Dragon 5, eh? So it'll just be double damage, including double bonuses, okay? Which brings us now to hit points, and there will be fumbles too as well. The details for those we'll leave for the second edition DMG, all right? And this is video number 2 out of 4. A 2-hour video, and then hit points. All right, so since, like I stated previously, we're going to be using the player's handbook as close to by the book as we can. Okay, now that means death at 0. Okay, so to be fair to you guys, I've said, okay, how about this? It's going to be death at 0, but everybody, if you're a player character, you get 10 bonus hit points at first level. That's a one-time thing, and then after that, you gain hit points normally, all right? So hopefully that will give you guys a fighting chance. Time check, and yeah, 2 a.m., no problem. Yeah, Living After Midnight by Judas Priest. I want to sit down and I want to get this done, as a kind of video, audio, house rules document kind of thing, to prepare for the campaign. I've already created one character. Someone requested an Alpha Fighter Magic user, and what I will do then is I will sit down, and then everything I've said, I type it out for you guys. Okay. It's just some people, they enjoy watching videos, and I mean, it takes a lot of time. I would say, if you've got your own DMG and if you're taking notes, maybe it's a good use of time if you intend to be a dungeon master, because you might be like, well, oh, wow, that was a really stupid thing that he said there. That's not the way that I would do things. And then do things in your own way. My way is not the only way. But then hopefully maybe I said something that is a good idea, and you're like, oh, you know what? I think I could use that for my campaign. That's one of the advantages of being a player as well as being a DM, is that you can learn from other DMs. A big thanks to Kevin Hill for his taking his time to write me letters or send me PMs with advice, and about half of it I disregarded. Yeah, the other half I say thanks. Then we have here the effects of alcohol and drugs. So I guess I should do a shot. Yeah. Here we go. A a little bit of brandy for the heart, and you know, getting wasted at the gaming table. I mean, this we're playing with a group of adults, or maybe teenagers. Okay. Um, what can I say? Try not to get wasted, especially if you're running the game. That kind of a thing. And I make jokes about weed and shrooms and LSD all the time, but actually I don't smoke weed. I mean, if I was smoking weed and trying to run a game, oh man, I already have enough short-term memory slips. What was I talking about? Yes, beautiful women, and I think that there's something to be said for the communist rules. Sorry, what was I just talking about? What was I doing? That kind of thing. Because when you smoke weed, sometimes it's not good for the short-term memory. But if you guys want to have a couple beer or smoke a couple joints during the game session, then go for it. Um, Now, I would like to say that one of the cool things about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons is that it keeps people off the streets, and I hope that I'm not glorifying alcohol and drug use, but I am fairly lax when it comes to that. Um, I just hope that you guys have the common sense in the real world. Sorry if I'm getting preachy here, to stay away from crack, methamphetamine, heroin, and or fentanyl. Those four drugs just it's situations sometimes where you have to uh, you find a new group of friends. I hope that you guys never get involved that kind of a drug scene. It's terrible. And on this night, just this Thursday night, Amy died. She died in my building. It was her funeral tonight, and I didn't know her personally, so I didn't attend. But she was 22, man. What a tragedy. And her boyfriend Glenn, was twice her age. Uh, you know, um, and they were so much in love. So I'm starting to maybe go off on a tangent, but this is a good example about how Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, at least the first edition, was geared more towards an adult audience. But I mean, people are going to find out about drugs and alcohol eventually. So yeah, it does occur in the game world. People in the game world, they drink, okay, and drinking can be just as destructive as any drug, even as destructive as hard drugs if a person does way too much. So don't forget the coffee, guys. Alchemy. Now, insanity. Well. What can we say here? Um, well, of course I'm crazy. That's a well-known fact. And would I have it any other way? Um, oh, I would rather just be crazy. Yeah, I like being crazy, but there are people out there who suffer a lot. From mental health problems and stuff like that, and a person doesn't choose. Well, maybe in some cases, a person does choose to be crazy, but it, who chooses to be mentally ill, and to go through a lifetime of trouble and things like that. So have some sympathy for um, people who suffer from mental illness. And there was a Dragon Magazine article that looked at this and said, well, this is too realistic. And I'm like, I'm fine with the insanity. Like, they took it out in the second edition, but don't keep it in. Um, and with the quirks, there is a small chance that there's a character, that you could have a character that is insane, maybe even like a homicidal maniac. So you never know. It's the element of mystery. You're meeting these new adventures, and it's like, whoa, is that guy a psychopath? That kind of thing. Yeah. So other than that, I think it's not something that's going to come into play too much. Me, to tell a joke, I am I have paranoid megalomania. You know why? Because I listen to Black Sabbath all the time. Yeah, man. Dude. Megalomania is cool, man. Yeah. Paranoid megalomania. So, other than that, I think the moral of this chapter is, yeah, man, listen to way more Black Sabbath, definitely, yeah. And to anyone out there who has struggled with, mental health and ill mental health, mental illness, just stick with it. Believe in yourself, and you're gonna have your up days, your down days, but don't give up. Don't let society tell you that you cannot make it. Okay. There you go. I hope that was inspirational for someone out there. Okay, so that done said, I used maybe too much time there, but um, what's said is said, and what is done is done. Okay, experience, adjustment, and division of experience points. Okay, if it's a tough combat, it's going to be uh, double experience points for you guys. All right, and this is an approximation. So now I'm treating the mathematics here as a guideline. So if one or more of the people in the party is taken down, killed, okay, down to 0 hit points, then that's a tough combat. You guys will get double the XP for that combat. If it's a combat where nobody takes a single point of damage, that's an easy combat, half experience points. Okay. And I mean, there are many people who really do things by the book, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we're limited to 4 hours. That's it. Okay. All right, and then experience value of treasure taken. Yeah, 1 gold piece, 1 experience point, and here we have an image. This will be a treasure somewhere in the campaign. Okay, there you go. A skull, a chest, a sword, and a whole bunch of gold pieces. All right. I'm just appealing to the greedy people out there. Yeah, luring them to their eventual doom. Wahahaha. Um. Never mind. I wanted to say something. Yeah. Nah, never mind. Well, I wanted to say something about megalomania, man. It's like uh, if I had more time, I would, but I've got to keep things on course for a 2-hour video. Anyway, so experience points value of monsters. People who have really put the book under a microscope have noted that the Appendix E values and these values, they don't line up. Okay, no problem. Use what's in the Appendix E. That's what I'm going to do anyway. Okay. Special bonus award to experience points. Yeah, if you die and you somehow return from the dead, yeah, there's a 1,000 XP bonus. And then remember we're going to be using the second edition ideas as well. Okay, so you're going to get XP for good role playing, XP for um, good ideas, for using a class ability, and the details of that we'll go into later. All right, in another video. Getting experience levels. Okay, here again, what we have is a situation of guidelines. People. I think I might have turned away some people with the player soundbook video by approaching things by the book. Including weapon type versus armor type and psionics. That's just to give things a certain structure. But with the Dungeon Master's Guide, definitely guidelines. So what we do normally over the weekend Advanced Dungeons and Dragons group, and this is not in all campaigns, but several DMs do this, is only train when you gain. So in this campaign, you only need to train if you gain a new class ability, or if you gain access to a new spell level. All right. So let's do some examples. Cleric, you're only going to need to train at levels 3, 5, 7, okay, etc. Fighters don't need to train. Magic user, again, you only need to train for levels 3, 5, and 7, etc., etc., etc. And whenever you gain access to a new spell level, thieves you only need to train at level 4 for the read languages ability, and then at level 10 for the ability to use scrolls. Okay. Yeah, so that's enough on training. All right. How about we'll say 1,000 gold pieces times your current level. All right. There you go. And then we have the campaign. Okay, the campaign is going to be set in the role of Greyhawk. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a chance and see if I can um, give you guys an alternate backdrop this section. All right. And again, it comes this thing that was said to Darlene. Women can't draw fantasy. Well, she proved him wrong. And the World of Greyhawk map to this day is a masterpiece of fantasy art. I need to keep an eye on the time. I've got 40 minutes, so I have to start moving. And I am at page 86. All right. So carefully, the Dragon Magazine archive goes up here, and this phone goes up there, and pulling this over here. Climate and ecology. We're going to be using simplified weather rules. I mean, there is what is in the World of Greyhawk box set. I might get to that level of detail, but basically every day we're going to roll 2d6 in a wilderness setting, and then a 7 indicating a change in the weather. All right? Okay. Ecology. Well, the ecology articles in Dragon Magazine. Science fiction. Well, ecology is a science. That level of detail, I love it, but I'm leaving it out of the equation for this campaign because I said to you guys that it would just be, hold on a second, guys. Sitting down. The player's handbook, the dungeon master's guide. Okay. So this is the campaign. The World of Greyhawk fantasy board game. I never played Divine Right. And let's hope that this is stable. Maybe just a slight adjustment there. That should be good. Okay, so this is the campaign. The World of Greyhawk. Well, this is a small part of the World of Greyhawk located on the Oeric continent. And it is a part of the Oeric continent called the Flanaess, okay? We just commonly call it the World of Greyhawk. So this is going to be taking place in Western Greyhawk, okay? Eastern Greyhawk. This is not a railroad campaign, okay? If you guys want to, the Temple of Elemental Evil, it's about 20 hexes, right, where my finger is, okay? If you guys want to move out of that area, then you can, If you guys want to move into Eastern Greyhawk for some reason, it's just like, you guys, they're like, screw you, press pause. All right. We're tired of, Holland and the Moat House and the Temple. We want to find out what's going on in the Great Kingdom. Well, you see this? As soon as you get to Eastern Greyhawk, then the campaign gets put on hold. You guys have to find a new DM, and I think that would be incredibly cool, the ideal would be to have two DMs, one guy doing Eastern Greyhawk and the other guy, doing Western Greyhawk and, talking on the phone. Like, oh man, what's happening in the East these days? And, oh wow. And the other guy's like, what's happening in the West? Yeah. Using the same rule set and everything like that. Yeah. That would be fun, So there you have it. The World of Greyhawk. I need to wet my throat. And let me see what is next. Typical inhabitants. Hold on. Okay. Most characters are 0 level. Okay. All right. The bulk of non-player characters, we can say maybe 99% of them are 0 level. All right. You guys are considered to be exceptional. You're heroes. All right. And then social class and rank in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. The decision to not use Unearthed Arcana was made in order to keep things simple, okay? So, sure, every once in a while, through quirks, you can have a character who is lower class or who is upper class, but most characters will basically be middle class, okay? Check. The town and city social structure, okay, in the T1 to 4 campaign, there are 3 centers of civilization, I guess you could say. One being the village of Hamlet, okay? And when you guys are in civilization, I will just show you the map for the area that you're in. So yeah, when you're in the village of Hamlet, since we're playing on Skype, this is one of the cool things about playing online. but you could do a physical tabletop too. So you just present, to the players a map, and then they explore the map. And so this is the overland map for T1 to 4, and there we go. All right, so you can see. I hope you can see Hamlet. All right, there we go, Hamlet. And then 30 miles away, not 6 miles away, that was an error in the text, we can see Nalb, and then the big city, Verbabank. Okay, so there you go. Just gonna paste this over here. And I'm behind. I'm behind on my readings of T1 to 4, the Temple of Elemental Evil. But having done this, then I'll be able to pick up the pace with that as soon as I finish the equipment list. So, anyway, economics. Well, what can I say here? You know, I already talked about this a little bit before. I think the easiest thing to do will be to say that there are commodities such as furs, gems, jewelry, which basically can be used as cash. Okay, and as far as it's including spices. As far as fur goes, I got to remember time. Hold on a second. I got about half an hour. Well, in Canada, there was the Hudson Bay Company, and fur was basically, a form of money. So, I would imagine the most economies of the world of Greyhawk would be barter based. And that the common coin would probably be the silver dollar or something like that. Now, adventurers, the elite, they use the gold piece, and who knows, maybe kings and queens and politicians, their coin is the platinum piece. Okay. But yeah, barter would be fairly common, I think. Okay. Oh, this is what I love. Duties, excises, fees, tariffs, taxes, tithes, and tolls. One of my players objected to a 10% sales tax. And it's like, I was like, dude, that came right out of page 90 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. So, yes, for purchases of 100 gold pieces or more, there will be a 10% sales tax. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why my players, they still hate me. Yeah, so much. Yeah. Enough on that for now. Monster populations and placement. Okay. Excuse me. If you're designing your own adventures, and for wilderness encounters as well too, I'll be taking a look at the monster level. Okay, if the average party level, the ACL average character level is 1, and the monster encounter table, it indicates an encounter with a monster of monster level 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, then I might just disregard the encounter. Okay, there you go. Although in a dungeon situation, you can encounter some dangerous monsters. Mm-hmm. Placement of monetary treasure. All right. Basically, there is a lot of treasure to be found in T1 to 4, the Temple of Elemental Evil, after a certain point. Okay? There you go. Placement of magic items. Magic item shops can be found in big cities. And again, I've got to emphasize that the amount of magic items is fairly limited. I explained this in a previous video. So basically, every month in a big city, maybe 0 to 5 magic items might be available to buy, and they're darn expensive too as well. And only level 1 magic items. Beyond that, I don't recommend having a situation where magic shops are all over the place and you can buy magic items all the time. Then it just cheapens magic. It takes the magic out of magic, and it makes it into mundane. Territory development by player characters. Probably not something that's going to come into play in the T1 to 4 campaign. That's high level stuff. Peasants, serfs, and slaves. This should have been side by side with the typical inhabitants section. Now, the thing is that we're going to be doing T1 to 4, the Temple of Elemental Evil. When you guys have the lowest level character in your party is level 4, at that point, you might want to consider A1 to 4, Scourge of the Slave Lord. So T1 to 4 is this area right here, okay? And then A1 to 4 is about 500 hexes. So T1 to 4, 20 hexes. A1 to 4, about 500 hexes. And then GDQ1 to 7, about 500 hexes. So this is an alternate Greyhawk timeline where this is all happening simultaneously. You know, we see a rise in the activity of bandits and brigands around the T1 to 4 area, around the A1 to 4 area. There are whole entire villages that are burnt to the ground and totally depopulated. Okay, and then we have here in the GDQ 1 to 7 area, you know, in the nation states and joining, you know, close adjacent to the mountains, whole entire villages, you know, massacres. You know, the giants coming down from the mountains and laying waste to the human communities. And then, too, another thing to remember is that the city of Istvan in Sterk is in a kind of extra dimensional bubble, okay? Something to do with uh, the Queen of the Spiders, all right? Although your player characters wouldn't necessarily know that unless they were from that area of Greyhawk, okay? Time check, 131. Okay, so then we have a sample dungeon, all right? This was detailed over at Dragon's Foot. And one moment. I do think I forgot to show you one image. All right, page 89. We're going to jump back to 94. This one is by DCS3. And it is reminiscent of an image, say, from Rome. Somewhere around there, okay? Epic of Aerith by Gary Gygax is highly recommended, okay? There you go. Who knows? Maybe this could be an image of the Great Kingdom or something like that. But it doesn't look like anywhere that I know of. Hold on a second. Cool. I love the details in the art. And back to page 94, some standard dungeon symbols. Okay. And most maps have these symbols there, all right? And this is the map of the sample dungeon, all right? This was detailed over at Dragon's Foot. However, unfortunately, the way that it was detailed, well, for better or for worse, it was done for mid-level adventures, okay? So that would be somewhere an option in the campaign, okay? I am thinking about including B1 in Search of the Unknown and B2 Keep on the Borderlands on the T1 to 4 map. And the reason for that is just a kind of a plan B in the case of a TPK, Total Party Kill, okay, which I hope doesn't happen, but it can happen. The first dungeon adventure, okay, it would have been kind of cool if they had this information on the DM screen. I like the idea of abstract time keeping in the dungeon, all right? But this goes into the details of movement and searching. I mean, we can say safely, if you want to search a room, 1 turn, okay? Enough. An example of play. A cool thing to do would be to record a session and you know, just take it from there. Okay. Then we get to my favorite pages of some of my favorite pages, the DMG, which is pages 100, 101, and 102. And here we have an image that is an image that is used for the Knights and Knaves forum. Which I got banned from, you know, but that's okay. No ill will, you know. I got banned from Dragon's Foot as well, you know. Press box, yes, PRESPOS. And if you like first edition AD&D, I actually highly recommend both places, okay? So I guess, you know, out of respect for Knights and Knaves, I should have a shot of the brandy. And I mean, while I'm just getting a brandy, I can say that making player characters with these tables is a lot of fun, but it doesn't necessarily result in playable player characters. So through quirks, you can have maybe 1 or 2 results on these tables, and that will make for an interesting character when constructing the quirks table. And the quirks are optional, all right? And I was like, okay, yeah, so I'll just, you know, do for most of this, you know, 1 result, 1 line, okay, check. but then it was like more than a D100 table. I had 120 results, so I was like, oh, I got to fill in the rest of it. What am I going to do? So I went to my copy of Mythos by Gary Gygax and Dave Newton, and then I got the quirks tables and I added in all of those, and then I was still missing 20 more. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And then I went to players options, skills and powers, and they had 20 character backgrounds. Okay, so you have a lot of things in the quirks. Everything from a personality trait, let's say, to a little bit of backstory. All right. So I think the quirks will work out all right, and I think Gary Gygax would be okay with the general idea of it. It makes each character very unique and interesting, and enough on that for now. Now, what I want to do is I want to roll up some characters, but I got to keep on going for you guys. Height and weight tables. Okay, this is a perfect example, page 102, of disregard. You need like a microscope to see the footnote for height and weight determination. The footnotes, of which there are two, just disregard that. We don't need to worry about like quarter inches and things like that. All right. Enough on that for now. And then the next one, the table for language determination. I've expanded this with another D100 table that includes the languages of the Flying Ass, Greyhawk, and then also the languages from the Fiend Folio and the Monster Manual too. Now the thing is that if you guys want a random language, then go for it. And then you might be like, well, why on earth does my character speak Green Dragon? And that's actually a really good question that will engage you on a creative level. Okay, so in that case, yeah, you might have a little bit of backstory there. Remember? Why am I even saying backstory? It's supposed to be background, okay? These young kids are negatively affecting my vocabulary. All right, so then special roles of the Dungeon Master. This is basically encouraging the DM to roleplay, which I will try to do, and then hiring NPCs to cast spells or use devices. Expensive, yeah. And this is expanded in the second edition DMG. Monsters and organization, time check, well, I'm going to 23 minutes. Lawful monsters, when you go into their layers, or just, in general, they tend to be organized on attack. They have organized tactics. Whereas chaotic monsters, they just, they're all over the place and they attack. So lawful monsters can be, especially intelligent lawful monsters. Well, most lawful monsters are intelligent. They can be more formidable opponents. Okay, there you go. But then keep in mind that, the vile monsters of the Temple of Elemental Evil and the humans that associate with them, that they're chaotic, generally. Okay, so that's a little bit of hope there for those who dare to foray into the doomed depths below the Temple of Elemental Evil. All right, there you go. Use of non-human troops. Yeah, sure, man. I mean, it's possible that if you choose to talk to a bunch of, say, bugbears, that you could add them to the party. That kind of a thing. Now, is that a good act? Actually, that would be an evil act because, using another example, gnolls, or goblins. I'm not going to go into details of murder, rape, and torture, but that's what they are prone to do. So, you hire these, or, you add these monsters to your party, these non-human troops, but that if they're, beyond your control, what they're going to do. So that's something that is an alignment consideration. All right, enough on that for now. Construction and siege. Okay. Yeah, the constructions, that's on the main equipment table. All right, so if you want to build stuff, there you go. And siege engines and devices of war. Siege engines and devices of war. Siege engines and devices of war. Okay. Historically, a lot of these were just assembled on the battlefield. I mean, technically, you could bring a ballista into a dungeon, but good luck getting it up and down the stairs, that kind of a thing. But yeah, that's more stuff that is on the equipment list. Okay. And the moat house was a victim of siege warfare. Yeah, as you will find out eventually. Conducting the game. Okay. I should do a whole entire video about this, but basically rolling the dice and control of the game. Um, this I just need a little bit more coffee. Actually recommends fudging. So instead of using luck points, which was actually an okay house roll, I'll just say this: each each game session, the first time a player character fails, or someone, let's say just someone in the party, okay, someone in the player character party fails a saving throw, then we'll say, okay, he made the saving throw. All right, that happens once per session, no more. All right. However, the same thing applies to the monsters and NPCs. The first time a monster or an NPC fails a saving throw, then it's considered that they've made the saving throw. All right. So hopefully that will avoid the situation where a character dies in room number 1 of the dungeon. Okay. Handling troublesome players. Only one. Only once have I had to kick someone out, and I've never banned anyone at first edition AD&D, and I hope not to. And it's just I just don't have the time to get into this. But this was a player who he was something he said to one of the female players just had her in tears, and he was tormenting her. I had to sit down and make a 5-minute video, send it to this guy, make it very clear that he was out for 1 year, at least. So things like this we'll cover maybe more detail later, but just basically be nice to your fellow players. Just sometimes people don't get along, and I'm just hoping for a player group where everybody is friends with one another. All right. If you don't like someone, then just be polite and civil to them at the very least. Or try to be friends for 4 hours. Okay, good, right on, man. Integration of experienced or new players into an existing campaign. I mean, in general, if you want to get someone, if you want to teach someone, if you want to get someone into first edition AD&D, or just advanced Dungeons and Dragons in general, start with second edition. Okay, it's not a good idea to start someone with first edition AD&D in general. Start with second edition, and then after that, we'll say, oh yeah, there's a first edition of the game too. Okay, good. And then here we have papers and paychecks. Papers and paychecks. Let me see. That reminds me of someone. But anyway, this is again just a bit of humor here, and I got to keep on moving because of the time. All right. Papers and paychecks. Papers and paychecks. I think he's someone over Dragon's Foot. Yes. Multiple characters for single player. Okay, so for this campaign, you can have up to 3 characters. Okay. But there's a maximum of 6 player characters in the party at any one time. So you could have, say, 1 character in Hamlet, 1 character exploring the moat house, and 1 character in Verbabank, let's say. All right, good. Intervention by deities, 1% chance, let's say. So remember that's an option for the players. And I'm not going to go into specifics and details simply because of the time. Here I have a bookmark. I hoard stuff. Can you see? The Book of Eli. All right. So, Boot Hill, Gamma World, beyond the scope of this video. All right. So then we get to the section about magical research, creation of holy and unholy water. Well, since I drink Saint Remy, all right, I think that's a good reason to have a little bit of holy water. I also call it cheap French resistance brandy, yeah. And mix it with coffee. I mean, I don't know if that's a great idea because it might deplete, B vitamins and things like that. But, I couldn't do these videos, just, drinking beer after beer and, some people could. Or just like, smoking huge amounts of weed or something like that, yeah. Anyway, enough on that for now. Spell research. I mean, divine intervention, that's something that maybe should have been in the player's handbook and, this section on spell research as well, too. So I'll try to communicate to the characters that, yes, you can call upon the gods to aid you. And that is an option. And also, for spellcasters, you can research new spells, okay? We don't have the time to go into details. I'm just doing a time check here now. Smoke. Throw it out. Yeah. It bounced off the wall and came back to me. Yeah. So anyway, fabrication of magic items, including potions and scrolls. Okay, alchemist for potions, for scrolls, scribe for scrolls, and making magic items in the game is something that involves monster parts. It's difficult to do. Okay. Moving onwards, non-standard magic items. Yeah, sure, you could have a backpack of holding. Use of magic items. Okay. Let me see here. I think I can safely skip this part because it deals with magic and magic and the unknown and things like that. So of course we're not going to go into the detail of each and every single magic item in the book. And that brings us to the appendices. And I'm doing a time check right now. 1:46, which gives me 14 minutes. So amazingly enough, I have almost achieved my goal of a 2-hour video for this. Okay. And wow, maybe do 2 hours for the second edition Player's Handbook and an hour for the second edition Dungeon Master's Guide, maybe. Oh, well, let's see how it goes. So I'm just going to scroll back a bit. And I'm just checking to see if I've missed anything. Okay. Everything that I wanted to cover, I've covered. Appendix A, random dungeon generation, a lot of fun. And there are rumors that in the... here, I'll give you another glance at this. These are the starting areas. There are rumors that somewhere in the gnarly forest there are forest ruins, and that these ruins are known as the City of Ghosts, and that at the very center of the City of Ghosts there is a gate to the underworld. Okay, of course that's just rumors. Okay, but if you do look on the overland map for T1 to 4, you see that there are 3 areas of mystery, I guess you could say. Yeah. So who knows? So yeah, there are rumors of the City of Ghosts. There are rumors of the Caves of Chaos. There are rumors of Quasqueton. Okay, all within the T1 to 4 area. Here we have a really cool wraparound image by DCS3. So it starts here. All right. And I like the old school kind of art where attention was paid to, historically realistic arms and armor, as much as they could. The Norman kite shield, and we see, some kind of a mysterious temple there. So who knows? Maybe that there is a location somewhere in the city, in the underworld below the City of Ghosts. Yeah. And wow. I've forgotten about this, and it continues too. So there, we have, some more art by DCS3, and here, caves and caverns, that kind of a thing. All right, and then that takes us to Appendix B. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the appendices, but what I will try and do is for each hex, I'll make a roll on, Appendix B. So. Sure, you could find maybe a 1 mile circle of desert somewhere in the middle of the Cron Hills or something like that, just as an example. Why on earth is there a desert in the middle of the hills? That kind of a thing. Remember, it's fantasy. Remember the works of Jack Vance as well, too. And then Appendix C, random monster encounters. Okay. I really want to show you guys all the art. But these are revised in the Monster Manual too. And Greyhawk has its own encounter tables. So, let me see. 11 minutes. Uh, Here we go. So here we have some Sturgis, okay? And I've been on my best behavior tonight, not mentioning, Dragon Magazine articles and, that kind of thing. Just trying to keep it focused. And then, onwards we go. We have some nudity here, okay? And I don't understand why people are so offended by artistic nudity. Unfortunately, it was removed from the game, okay? A mermaid, there you go. A beautiful image by Darlene. And onwards through the encounter tables. For random encounters following something that I read on page 9 of the DMG, I will ignore or disregard. Hold on a second, note to self, page 182, psionic encounters. Okay, never mind. I will disregard the first random encounter on each table per session, okay? Alright, so hopefully that will bring a little bit more story into the game. A giant owl, right? Or a normal owl. Again, another beautiful image by Darlene. And by Tramp, we have here a satyr or a satyr, okay? I like to say Saturday, get it? Wine, women, and song. Okay, no time for the brandy now. I gotta get focused because I've got 9 minutes. All right. Ah! Well, oh, fuck. All right. Here's to the memory of Tramp and Wine, Women, and Song. What an incredibly gifted artist, to be sure. Anyway. You guys, Led Zeppelin. All right, there we go. So then we have here some dinosaurs, something pterodactyl, something. So yeah, that's one of the cool things about first edition AD&D. There's more dinosaurs. All right. And you can go to your local dollar store to get the miniatures if you play with miniatures. And I've got 8 minutes. Here we have a manticore. All right. Some people might be like, man, that's sexist, dude. What about the womanticore? I don't know. Okay, sorry. What? What? People are really offended by page 189 these days. I don't know, man. Sorry. It's the modern, social internet media generation, I guess. City town encounters. Okay, here I will be hopefully using the Rogues Gallery. The HTML Rogues Gallery, a work in progress, has gone on for years, is nearing completion. All right, and again we have another masterpiece by Tramp. Okay, and guess what, guys? Emicraw, the Chaotic, is an NPC in the campaign. Okay, there you go. And who knows, man? Maybe that's a scene from the city of Riverbank. Okay, the Green Griffin. Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot about the Wine Women song. Ooh. So yeah, he's a possible random encounter. There you go. Excuse me. And again, I'm placing this in the context of the campaign that I will be running. In your campaign, hey man, Emrakul the Chaotic. That's a great way to liven up a session. You guys are sitting bored in the city, and you're walking down the street, and you see this. Excuse me. Appendix D, random generation of creatures from the lower planes. I use this for demons and devils. For other fiends, I use the Hordling table in the Monster Manual too. Okay, and then all of the Appendix E data on the 1EO site is integrated into the Monster Manual as it should be. Okay, so we can just go through these pages. It took a while to do, but not that long. Then Appendix F, gambling. All right, we just do 2d6 high roll wins basically. Yeah, that's a simple way to do things. Although, I mean, I would love to see more detail there, and I'm in pain. Oh man, fractured ribs suck, but that's okay. It's not gonna stop me. Um, Appendix G, traps. All right. I would love to add an additional column there with examples. But enough on that for now. Appendix H, tricks. These are, it's not really rules that is going to influence the campaign. This is more kind of like a toolkit or an instrument, for DMs to play around with. And then we have, um, Appendix I, dungeon dressing. Okay. And one moment, please. Here, yeah, this is an image somewhere that can be found. Okay, so again, I mean, this is an excellent example of the awesome detail that we have in the first edition DMG. Unfortunately, lacking in the second edition DMG. Appendix J, herbs, spices, and medicinal vegetables. If you have the herbalism proficiency, then you have access to this. Okay. If you don't have access to it. Okay. As a general rule of thumb. And then Lost in the Briars. All right. Uh, Direction Sense, highly recommended. And Appendix K, describing magical substances. Potion colors are consistent. Okay, so that will save you having to use an identify spell or having to buy one. Okay, according to the second edition DMG, it costs 1,000 gold pieces for an identifier. Okay, so then here we have some perytons. Okay, and here displacer beasts are actually alien. Alien. Well, that's a rumor. And some blink dogs. Okay. These tables could be revised for the Fiend Folio and the Monster Manual too. All right. And I mean, I feel I'm not doing things justice by going through things so quickly. Appendix N, inspirational and educational reading, page 224. There's a whole entire Facebook group devoted to that. Okay. Appendix O, encumbrance of standard items. We've already been through encumbrance. All right. Appendix P, creating a party on the spur of the moment. Yes, by the book, AD&D characters can begin with magic items, and somehow by the grace of God, I've made it on time and actually covered this book in 2 hours. And this is after doing what? One previous video. So then we have here the afterword. Okay. Read it for yourself. It's on page 230. If I have time, I would read it myself to you. Index. Uh-oh. And just when you thought that it was safe, a Ankig attack. Okay. The wise lord allows his farmers to be armed. Okay. Because without that, then they might not be around for too long. Yeah. It is a deadly and dangerous world, and that's the worlds of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It's a default, and okay, dude. Why I'm showing this to you, I don't know, but there you go. Poor snake. One of those snake days. All right, and let me see. A minute and a half. We have an advertisement for Gen Con. Okay, and yeah, I might gain or lose some friends on social media for saying this, but the Gen Con, I think that they're doing the right thing to try to be safe, and kudos to Luke Gygax for managing that, and I think you don't want people to get sick and even possibly die. So kudos to Gary Con, even though it said Gen Con right there. Yeah. But now these days, it's Gary Con that is continuing. That is the main Dungeons and Dragons convention that there is. Of course, Gen Con continues, but that's more of a general gaming convention. Okay, and then here we have an advertisement from TSR S1 to move horse. Okay. That is Eastern Finance. Okay, so it's beyond the scope of this campaign, definitely. And wow, um, I really wanted to read out the afterword. And then we have the, oh wait, it's too late. The ready reference tables. Okay, and they're at page 240, and I've got 5 seconds. So all I can say, man, fun friends imagination. 2 hours.